Greetings and welcome. Hello, Ruth. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
How are you? Oh, we've unmuted. Come back to me, Ryan. There we go.
How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Welcome, darling. You're going to gain a
Yeah.
lot of insight into this talk. You're going to be a period expert after this. You'll be able to share this with Sarah. So, welcome. Hello, Darcy. Melissa, hello. How are you, Darcy?
I'm good, thanks. I think they're by the TV. Sorry, Steven's here.
Oh, Stephen, can I see your face?
Hey,
Stephen, I've missed seeing you. Hello.
hello, hello.
Hi. Hello, my darling. Welcome. Ruth, do you want to say a quick hello, my beauty? Hello.
I think they're by the
Yeah.
TV. Sorry.
Ruth, welcome.
Thank you.
Greetings. Hello and welcome. Melissa, do you want to say hello? How are you, sweetheart? Do you want to say hi?
Yeah. Hello, had to figure out the mute thingy.
I remember you. It's so glad to have you back. Beautiful.
I'm excited.
I'm excited
I have
too. How's your week
no
been?
baby interruptions tonight. She's with the grandparents.
That's good. So we've got you all in. Your undivided attention.
That's
Beautiful.
right.
All right. Ruth, do you want to come back to me? Say a quick hello.
Hello. Is that what you're saying?
There we go. Yeah, I've got you now. Hello, my love.
Hi.
Always love having your wisdom on these calls because you've got, I do. I feel so blessed to have you here because you've got so much clinical experience.
I
So,
do have that.
yeah, I really want you to share towards the end because I love your insights into this work. So, welcome, Ruth.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right.
When I'm able to.
Yeah. All right. I'll make a start, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? So, today I'm going to be talking about irregular periods in your 40s. Just make sure that, stick around to the end. Remember to put your camera on when you're talking to me. I really resonate with your faces and I feed off your energy rather than read it in the chat. So please put your camera on and talk to me face to face and just stay till the end for the Q&A. But we're going to be talking about irregular periods. And, I want to express that it is quite common for women in their 40s. Around 70 to 80% of women in their 40s have some form of menstrual irregularity. But in saying that, right, I think we always associate that, irregular periods equals perimenopause or I'm heading towards menopause. It's actually not that the case, not always the case. In fact, irregular periods are probably, I would have to say, the most common issue that I treat in practice. And this goes for the entire lifespan, from teenagers, through all the reproductive years, and then the transition of perimenopause into menopause. So don't just assume irregular periods means I'm in perimenopause. That's a big assumption. All right. So we look at it, and it's most of us at some point in our reproductive years and our menstrual years will have some irregularity at some point for whatever reason. We're going to look at those reasons now. So what are the causes of irregular periods? You'll see that the biggest number one cause of irregular periods that I treat in practice, from teenagers to menopause, all right, and that's a big girth, is stress, high stress. And I just feel like the world that we're living in, we're constantly affected by stress, not just, from the media, it's, toxin exposure, it's all different forms of stress on the body. All right. But high stress, if you look at it, literally, your body is going to conserve energy by preventing ovulation because it's always going to deal with the stress first. It's going to look at the trauma event, or even if you have underlying chronic stress that's there for a long period of time, the body is always going to prioritize that, all right? And then your adrenals are going to work overtime, and it's going to disrupt your thyroid hormones. So you see this cascade that just gets affected, and then hormones and your reproductive hormones, it's a flow on effect where they become imbalanced, all right? So, you know, priorities are that we're going to always prioritize emergencies first. And that's always, you know, that's our priority as a species. You know, it's comfort is nice. Being fertile is important. And I know this talk is about fertility, but it's really secondary to survival. So, you know, fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone, it's not just a perimenopause thing. It's not just, you know, a 40s thing. This can happen, you know, with young people as they're just starting to menstruate. You know, we've got those fluctuations happening. So we may have, you know, estrogen dominance. They might be heavy periods or longer periods or spotting between. And this can happen even when you start getting your periods, all right? But then through your reproductive years, you know, as we're coming into our 40s, often there can be low estrogen, but it's not always the case. It can be estrogen dominance. So with low estrogen, you know, we've got light periods, we've got the uterine lining is not building up sufficiently, so that's going to lead to the irregular cycles. And then we can have like low progesterone, right? It's essential for the lining, and low levels can lead to that irregular shedding and the luteal phase defects. And yes, clearly perimenopause is going to affect the fluctuations of estrogen and progesterone. So, you know, fluctuations of estrogen and progesterone are one of the most common causes of irregular periods. It's that hormonal imbalance. And that's what I love about Chinese medicine. We're always looking at the balance between these two reproductive hormones. Poor diet is another cause. Our diets, our soils are being robbed from the glyphosate, you know, like it's all the nutrients and biodiversity. We've done these big talks, you know, the backstory. So sometimes you might not be getting the right nutrients in your food from contamination and, you know, toxin exposure, but your diet just might be that standard American diet. It's not so healthy for us, for our fertility and our reproductive hormones. There can be extreme weight loss. And then there can be like low body weight and extreme weight gain, so high BMI. All right, there can be over-exercising or under-exercising. You know, I just had a patient just before, and she tells me that, you know, everything, she doesn't have the breast extension when she's exercising, and she feels better. She sleeps better when she's exercising. So exercise is actually one of the treatment strategies that we'll look at further forward. But if you're stopping like the birth control pill, that will often, you know, create irregular periods. Then we've got thyroid disorders. So it could be Hashimoto's or an overactive thyroid. So, yeah, so basically, you know, we're always wanting to put our eyes on your thyroid panel. What else? We've also got hormonal disorders like PCOS. We could have endometriosis. This can create irregular periods because there's a lot of inflammation. There's a lot of blood stagnation, all right? And then fibroids. You know, you get that dysfunctional uterine bleeding with fibroids, and then you get that irregularity with the period. And then there can also just be, you know, food allergies and sensitivity. So just, you know, as an umbrella here, we could be undiagnosed gluten intolerance, or it could be celiac disease. So, you know, that's why I tend to really start with a gut healing protocol when I start working with my fertility coaching and my patients, because, you know, gut is everything. It's the estrogen, it's your microbiome. It's central to everything. It's what creates the blood that nourishes the lining. So, yeah, we always want to look at those sensitivities. Is there leaky gut? Is there insulin resistance? All right, so let's look at the definitions of irregular periods from both. I like to look at modern medicine and traditional Chinese medicine. Remember, I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, so I'm going to look at both perspectives because I integrate both. Even though TCM is my expertise, I like to be integrative because I like the precision of modern medicine. So with modern medicine, the perspective, you know, how they characterize irregular periods, they look at, you know, the menstrual length variation. So a normal period is usually between 21 and 35 days. So, you know, cycles that are shorter than 21 days or longer than 35 days, then that's characterized as an irregular period. There might be variability, like this is significant fluctuations in the cycle length from 1 month to the next. And then there could be missed periods. We call this amenorrhea, absence of menstruation, and that could be several months where you're not actually having a period. Often it will start with, anovulatory cycles, which is the absence of ovulation, and we're looking for that as well. But an ovulation is literally, this is where you're not releasing an egg, and it's really necessary that we are ovulating for fertilization and conception, obviously. All right, then with modern medicine, they're looking at, heavy bleeding or light menstrual bleeding. And so if the flow is significantly heavier or lighter than usual, that's a marker. And then spotting, so light bleeding between periods or just before the period. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, we look at irregular periods as it's a totally different platform of how we look at things. Now, we look at it as defined as disruptions in the normal menstrual cycle. So similar, we're looking at shorter or longer. So it can be early, late, or unpredictable menstrual bleeding. And then the TCM, we have patterns, all right? So we're always looking at your chi, your blood, and your organ systems. And what we tend to find is when there is irregularity, we're looking at the organ systems, primarily the organ systems that are involved with irregular bleeding is the liver, the spleen, and kidneys. These are the main ones. And then we have different patterns that we're looking at. So it's very individualized. I guess that's the biggest takeaway with Chinese medicine. It's a very individualized approach. So we want to work out, what is your differential diagnosis? Is there liver qi stagnation? Is there a lot of emotional stress and frustration leading to stagnation of qi? This is the liver qi, because the liver is involved in the smooth flow of qi and blood. So symptoms of liver qi stagnation from Chinese medicine perspective, there's going to be irregular cycle lengths. There might be premenstrual tension, breast tenderness, mood swings, irritability. You'll see that, all right? And sometimes the periods can be, dark and, towards the end, usually with the liver qi stagnation. There can be the blood stasis. Now, this is obviously usually an endometriosis pattern, all right? And that's where there's irregular periods which might be marked with dark clotted blood, really severe pain, fixed, stabbing pain, all right? And it's really in that lower abdomen, like knives in the abdomen. Kidney deficiency and liver qi stagnation, this is a combined pattern. So this is where you've got irregular cycles. It's scanty periods with a lot of back pain. Sometimes there might be dizziness and tinnitus. And this is usually accompanied sometimes with night sweats. If there's yang deficiency, there might be kidney yang deficiency, there might be limbs and low. Might just, there we go. We've got someone's little child in the background. Hello. All right, so basically then spleen qi deficiency, we've got phlegm, damp obstruction. PCOS is usually that pattern of disharmony. This is where there's accumulation of phlegm and dampness obstructing the reproductive organs, impeding the flow of blood. Okay, and blood deficiency. Now, I'll often see blood deficiency if there's multiple births. It can be from poor diet. There might be iron deficiency, anemia. Ferritin, low ferritin is a big marker of blood deficiency. It could be just chronic illnesses, all right, and excessive bleeding. So you can actually have blood deficiency from that. So here, the irregular periods will be scanty. The blood is usually pale, lots of dizziness, palpitations, insomnia, because the blood is what nourishes the heart and grounds the shen. And you'll often see the pale complexion with blood deficiency. So with Chinese medicine, the treatment approaches, we will always prescribe Chinese herbal medicine based on your differential diagnosis. So with the liver qi stagnation, I'll be looking at something like Xiao Yao San. All right, this is a wonderful formula for balancing the liver qi stagnation. It also supports the spleen. Gui Pi Tang if I've got spleen qi deficiency. Gui Shan Wan if I've got the kidney and liver together, those two disharmonies matched. And then if we've got, like I might use Dingjing Tang for that formula. With the PCOS, I might use Sung Fu Dao Tang Tang. All right, and this is a wonderful formula that helps resolve phlegm and damp obstruction. We'll often use, acupuncture, because, you know, basically with Chinese medicine, we have the Chinese herbal medicine and the acupuncture. So targeted points for those differential diagnoses. So, you know, if there's yang deficiency, I'll be, you know, often I'll be using moxa sticks. If there's qi stagnation, sometimes I'll use the castor oil and do some abdominal gua sha. You know, there's so much in Chinese medicine that I love. It's really individualized. All right. And it's not just, it's really working on the root system, and it not just works on the symptoms. Okay. We'll often prescribe dietary therapy. So if there's, you know, spleen deficiency, I might prescribe, you know, just avoid cold and raw foods. Let's have, you know, cooked foods. Let's look at the lining with, you know, your beta carotene and your sweet potato and all those fish oils and carrots, right? So Chinese medicine is very targeted. I love it. And then we look at lifestyle adjustments, like looking at your stress, breathing techniques, qigong, adequate rest. We look at all the pillars in place, regular exercise, all those lifestyle modifications. Western medicine or modern medicine, it applies a lot of strategies, but it's usually medication and lifestyle interventions. So always remember, when you're going through modern medicine, you're going to be prescribed medication. All right, because that's just what it is about, right? And you need to understand that. So they're going to look at hormonal therapies like birth control pills, progestin therapy. Now that might, you know, treats heavy bleeding. This is your Normans or your Prevera. They might prescribe hormonal IUDs. Then if you've got, you know, non-hormonal medications, it might be non-steroidal anti-inflammatories to reduce pain and heavy bleeding. It might be the tranexamic acid, reducing heavy bleeding, all right, Listidia. What else? If we've got underlying conditions like PCOS, they might prescribe metformin. This improves insulin sensitivity and helps women regulate menstrual cycles, particularly in women with PCOS. Then thyroid medications. So we've got levothyroxine for hypothyroidism, or anti-thyroid medications for hyperthyroidism. Then if you've got PCOS and that, you know, with their anovulatory disorders and difficulty ovulating, letrozole or Clomid, okay? If there's endometriosis, we might be prescribing, you know, surgical endometrial ablation or excision, which is the gold standard for endo. Or with fibroids, it could be a myomectomy. You know, this, the great thing about Western medicine, they will also address the lifestyle and, you know, weight management. They might recommend, you know, a weight plan or refer you to a nutritionist, diet and exercise. But it's very general. That's the thing about modern medicine. It's very general, but targeted. If you've got a thing that you need resolved, like, you know, if you've got fibroids that are affecting implantation, sometimes it's great to use the modern medicine and then back it up with the Chinese medicine. So we integrate it. That's what I do love about East meets West. So if we're looking at natural ways to bring back your period and some strategies, you know, so you're at home, what can I do? All right, like I'll often prescribe moxa sticks, you know, if there's that cold hands, cold feet, cold belly, sore lower back, you know, waking in the morning to urinate. So you can do moxa. You know, we tend to do it in the follicular phase, but if there is the kidney yang deficiency and there is that cold, I'll often use it through the entire cycle. So you can do it in the luteal phase as well. So it looks like a cigar, but we burn it, and we hover and peck, and it's just amazing. This little stick just does so much, and you get a box of them. One of these boxes will last you forever. Okay, so, you know, moxa is amazing. Abdominal gua sha. So this is an abdominal massage. We use castor oil, right? You can use this in follicular phase after you finish your period, and we do this until ovulation, but rubbing the belly, and then we're scraping the skin. So if this is my belly, we're scraping up and we're using something with a sharp edge. This is a little Asian soup spoon, but you can use anything with a sharp edge. You can use a gua sha tool, a soup spoon, a dessert spoon, but abdominal gua sha is really awesome when there's that qi stagnation. But I often use this strategy for all my patients. Doesn't matter what their differential diagnosis is. I tend to get everyone doing the abdominal gua sha. So with the castor oil and castor oil packs, they're amazing. Right, you can do some dry brushing. You can use prayer, meditation. Look, I love acupuncture. It's really good for reducing stress. The moment you put a needle in, I know when sometimes I might be stressed with work and I may be even on call talking to my patients. I will needle yin tongue, all right, because it's like, whoa, I'm relaxed. And it just shows my patients how the impact that it has on me, because they can literally see it on screen, all right, the impact of acupuncture. It just literally turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you've never tried acupuncture, give it a go. It's so good for reducing stress when there's irregular periods. All right, light exercise. I mentioned this, it's important. And, there's lots of different forms of exercise you can do, so you've got to find the thing that you love. It could be moderate aerobic exercise like walking and jogging, or, and I say jogging, not sprinting. So my runners, I've got to pull them back because it's moderation, right? That's what we're looking for with fertility. It could be dancing or, a Zumba class, whatever you like doing, all right? You've got to find what you love. Strength training, I love that. Or resistance band exercises. We want to build muscle, all right? It helps boost metabolism. It improves insulin sensitivity. I love weight training for things like PCOS or thyroid disorders, particularly underactive thyroid. All right, yoga. I'm going to show you some studies below about yoga and the impacts of yoga, but look for hatha yoga, not so much your vinyasana power flows. We want the yin, the restorative, or even the Iyengar yoga, because there's a lot of stability and lots of props, so you can get into the pose and hold the static poses for longer. So when you're holding the poses for longer, you're literally turning on that parasympathetic nervous system, and it's going to have an effect on your hormonal balance. Pilates is great. Some of my patients like the high intensity of interval training. It's not for everyone, but it's short bursts of intense activity followed by rest. So even with my runners, sometimes I'll get them to do jog, sprint, jog, walk. So that's kind of a high intensity of approach to running when I'm trying to pull back my long distance runners. Tai Chi, Qigong. I think the main thing with the exercise is you want consistency. About 150 minutes a week of moderate aerobic activity, combined with that muscle strength conditioning. So you find out what that thing is that you like doing. Because even if you're doing Tai Chi, in the horse riding stance, it works the legs. It says that muscle conditioning. All right, so you've just got to find the balance between, I think when we've got irregular periods, it's the balance between over-exercising and under-exercising, and not being so excessive, all right? Because we don't want to turn on the stress, the cortisol complex, that cortisol cascade. So, exercise is super important. But, it could be massage, it could be reflexology, it could be essential oils. I love essential oils. My husband sent me these beautiful TikTok things, but this one was about, what was it? It was not clove oil, but it was, I've forgotten the name of the essential oil, but it was literally looking at it as an antibiotic. And, it's the power of essential oils are amazing. You've just got to find what it is you love, even if it's counseling or EMDR, intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy, could be cognitive behavioral therapy. We just really want to reduce the stress. I think that's the number one thing to bring back the period. Reduce the stress. Secondary, we want to eliminate toxins. So once we start to get you into a state of, stress reduction, we want to eliminate toxins. So this is then looking at your labels. So I'll often refer my patients to Yuka, where they can download it on their phone, snap the barcode, and then it brings up everything in your labels, what is in your labels. You can also look at Arena Webb. She reads labels for you. She is a consumer and safety advocate and manufacturer advisor for ingredient safety. So she's got a website. Arena Webb, I read labels for you, all right? And so these are things that we start to explore, all right? I'm a big fan of practicing detox techniques. I've mentioned the castor oil packs and the abdominal gua sha, but zeolites, I'll often get my patients to start administering zeolites in some water, 1 teaspoon of the clintoctylite zeolites, washing your fruit and vegetables. But it's really, we want to start looking at those endocrine disrupting chemicals. I think toxins are such a big thing. So we want to wash our fruit and veg, eat, drink filtered water, drink from a glass instead of plastic, and stop eating out of those plastic containers. Avoid air fresheners and, exposure to paraffin candles. Make sure if you do like candles that they might be the beeswax candles or soy candles. Look at your perfumes, move over to essential oils. We start to just transition, eat fewer processed, pre-packaged and canned foods. Just opt for fresh, opt for organic where you can. I know it's expensive, but fresh is always best. Also look at, choose wild caught over farmed, for example. But I think it's about looking at our makeup, because there's so many toxins in our makeup, and before we even walk out the door, we want to look at our non-stick frying pans, all right, and go for ceramic, all right, and glass. So glass containers, get rid of plastic straws, all the microplastics. So we've got bisphenols, phthalates, these are plastics, parabens, persistent organic pollutants, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, what else? Heavy metals. And the microplastics that are in the ocean. Just look at the tidy up that we're doing and the dead zones in the ocean. So toxins are a big thing when I'm working with irregular periods. We've got to do that. I'll often, as a strategy, I might do some BBT charting, because, I think we need to put our eyes on where is the irregularity happening. Is it in the length? Is it follicular problems? Is it luteal problems? And the BBT, it gives you a real overview of what's happening with your cycle. Are the temps too high? Are the temps too low? We want to know what the fluctuation of your hormones are, and the BBT it's literally putting my eyes on you. Without the BBT charting, it's just measuring your urine samples with, your tests, your OPKs. It's just not going to cut it. I want to know, is there a pattern? Is this something that's happening every month? Has it been 1 month on? Because sometimes you might have a good ovary and a lazy ovary. All right, is it just that? Is it something that has been happening for some period of time? Has it been several months that we've had irregular periods? Is this something that is from trauma? Okay, it can be emotional trauma, physical trauma, even childbirth trauma, recurrent miscarriage, loss trauma. Okay, there is a lot with irregular periods, and we've got to look at that. So other things, I might employ some adaptogenic herbs. So ashwagandha, if I've got, adrenal fatigue or thyroid disorders. There can be reishi mushrooms or maca or licorice, So we want to look at, if you're waking up tired, licorice tea is a great adaptogen. You can have the licorice tea and look at your sunlight, which is the giver of life. So sunshine, your cortisol awakening response, your CAR. We want to look at that. All of this has an impact on your regularity, because it's the circadian rhythm. We all have one. And bear in mind, our cycles can become irregular just from bad sleep. All right. So we want to look at that. All right. So improve our diet. We want to look at nutrient dense foods. That's a key thing to keep your hormones in check. So look at your plate, and I would like to break it down. Protein, carbs, fats, they're your macros, and then your micronutrients are all your vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds. Okay. So just keep it simple. So look on your plate and go, where's the protein? Where's the carb? Where's the fat? All right. And you want roughly 30, 40, 30, right? It's the breakdown of that percentage. And then with the antioxidants, we want color and diversity. So look at your week and just think, I don't want you eating exactly the same thing. I don't want you to have the same lunch every day. Sometimes I look at these bodybuilders and they just food prep, they eat the same thing, food prep, and they're eating the same thing for a week. And I'm like, no, it's not great for fertility. We want biodiversity. I want you to have something different all the time. I want literally looking at 30 different food groups on your plate through the week. So a rainbow. Think, I see rainbows, just see a rainbow of color. Probiotic rich foods, fermented vegetables, all of these things are great for the gut. It's a way of, mulching the food. All right. We want that biodiversity. It's all about the soil. all right? Fertility is like the soil of our soul, all right? Dutch testing, this is when things might be quite complex and, you know, we haven't seen improvements. I really do love the Dutch because it offers such an extensive profile of the reproductive and adrenal hormones, melatonin, along with the metabolites, but it goes into the organic oats test. So it looks at glutathione, it looks at, you know, gut markers, biotin, your B12. It's quite simply, I reckon, the Dutch is probably the most accurate way and the most comprehensive test in the world to assess your hormonal health. So, you know, by the way, I do offer the Dutch testing with my fertility coaching, and it's just powerful. It's so empowering because it's a snapshot in time, and it's really clear what direction. I can just see it straight away if there's estrogen dominance. You know, I can see if I need to add DHEA, right? You know, it's just really quick. Or if there's a problem with your methylation. Okay, so the Dutch testing, this is something that you could explore. So you can see that there are a lot of different things that we need to look at, but look at some of the research around exercise and PCOS. This one study, I really like this one. It was a PubMed study, the effect of dietary weight loss on menstrual regularity in obese young women with PCOS. And so this is a great study, and it showed that, you know, regular exercise improved the menstrual regularity and ovulation with women with PCOS. Another study, yoga and hormonal balance. So this was in 2016, indicating that yoga can effectively reduce stress and improve hormonal balance, especially PMS symptoms, which can lead to more regular and balanced cycles. And then another one, vitamin D. This is an interesting study in 2015, linked low levels of vitamin D to irregular periods, suggesting that, you know, taking vitamin D is going to help regulate menstruation. So, you know, vitamin D is a big marker also when I'm working in fertility. We actually need at the top end. So, you know, this study, lower plasma 25 hydroxyvitamin D is associated with irregular menstrual cycles in a cross-sectional study. So that was a really interesting study. So these are all things we need to look at. So then we look at supplements. So clearly we want to make sure you're getting enough vitamin D, and that includes sunlight exposure. We want to, you know, perhaps dose it if you're in the winter months like we are here in Australia, around 5,000 IU daily. Okay, but in fertility, we actually want that because it works on our egg quality as well. So some supplements that I may recommend for regular periods, Vitex. All right, Vitex, it helps balance the hormones, supports progesterone. Okay, so it can help regulate menstrual cycles. We're usually looking for around 400 milligrams daily. Vitamin B6, if there's, you know, PMS symptoms, you know, often that there might be a longer luteal phase. So vitamin B6, usually around 50 to 100 milligrams of that. Magnesium, when there's irregular cycles, I'm always putting my patients on, I actually think I put most of my patients on magnesium because it helps relax the muscles. It helps reduce muscle cramps. It helps support the gut and, you know, so many enzyme reactions, about 300 enzyme reactions. So about 400 milligrams daily of magnesium. And depending, normally I'll prescribe magnesium glycinate or bisglycinate. It's the most absorbable form of magnesium. I actually did talk on magnesium recently, and we went through all the different categories. But yes, specifically, it's going to help with irregular periods. Your omega-3s, your fish oils, all right, they reduce inflammation, which can help regulate the menstrual cycle. They can reduce those inflammatory cytokines, also reduce the period pain. So we want around 2,000 up to 3,000. If you've got endometriosis, sometimes I will dose it super high, around 9,000 milligrams daily. Evening primrose, sometimes I will get my patients on that. Some of my vegan patients to reduce PMS symptoms, around 1,000 milligrams daily. We'll often use it in that luteal phase. Zinc, vitamin D, I've mentioned that. Iron. So we're always looking at your iron panel. Like if I'm working with you, I like a base marker, a checklist of your bloods, and an iron panel with ferritin stores. We want to prevent anemia. Iron deficiency anemia, seeing it more and more prevalent. And we want to make sure that you don't have low ferritin and low iron. So a marker for that is, you know, really heavy menstrual bleeding. You may need to supplement anywhere from 18 to 25 milligrams of iron, but it's always test first. I had a patient just recently and she said, I'm bruising. Shall I add iron? I said, no, We don't just add iron just because we think we need it. No, always start. That's where I like that precision analytical of the Western medicine to give us the data. Myo-inositol, it supports insulin sensitivity. And, when there's that irregularity, it's great for PCOS. And if you've got those irregular periods, ashwagandha reduces stress. I love it. It's an adaptogen, helps balance the hormones, supporting regular cycles, and maca. So in conclusion, you can see that literally I do love modern medicine. I really love it. And you can see that both Chinese medicine and modern medicine offer valuable approaches to managing irregular periods and hormonal imbalances. I think this is the biggest takeaway. It's about the integration and the merging of both. I call this East meets West. So this is where I like to put a team. Like, we work as a team around you. So I work with your integrative doctors, and I worked with your acupuncturists and your other nutritionalists. And, so we work as a team around you. But I call this East meets West. And I think combining the precision and evidence-based treatments of modern medicine with the holistic and individualized care. That's what I love about TCM. It's individualized and it's really specific. And, we can create that synergistic whole, that complete approach that's going to just not only enhance your overall health, but balance your hormones, all right, your well-being and your fertility. Remember this, when you are healthy and balanced, your natural state is fertility. You're naturally fertile when everything is balanced. And that's what Chinese medicine is all about. So I thank you for joining me. I'm going to open up the Q&A. Who would like to ask me a question? Darcy.
I'd like to, yeah. Okay, so I would say, like, over the last 6 months, I've had periods ranging from, being 21, 22 days, between each period. And then I had one where it was 34 days. And then, and then I have the usual normal 27, 28. What would you say might be going on with me, with all this irregularity? Because we can't just say it's one thing because it's very, short.
Yeah, well, if you look at your Dutch test results, which was really quite accurate, it gave you such a blueprint of what was going on with you. And, I think, are you okay if I share a little bit of that?
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So basically with Darcy's Dutch results, there was a methylation issue, and her ability to methylate. So that means your ability to create qi in blood, is compromised. So that's where we're now working on improving your methylation status. And you should start to see improved results now that we've been able to target and work out, it was a methylation issue,
Right. Yeah.
You see that? It was so precise. That's what I loved about the Dutch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
so you say then it was just the methylation issue that was causing it to be, fluctuating from 22 to 34 days.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not always going to be that simple. It's just it's just a lovely kind of way for me to demonstrate. When we've got data, we can move in that direction.
Okay.
Also, the DHEAs was a little low, so we were able to go, all right, we're going to prescribe you a little bit of DHEA, right?
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't just say it's like my liver or kidney or nothing. It's just pretty much.
I wish it was just. I would be a billionaire to say it was one thing. It's not. I mean, this welcome to my world. Welcome to my world, Darcy. We're human beings. We are getting better. That's the beauty of it. So it's like we always want to make sure the liver's working well, the gut's working well, the pillars are in place. I've got hydration, all right? My liver pathways are working well. We want to always leverage all of those systems together, but it's literally finding out what's the piece that's breaking down. Why are the wheels falling off the bus? Mm-hmm. And from that Dutch test, we found that it was, a DHEA issue and a methylation issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Oh, good. Great.
Just want to make sure. Yeah.
You're right, does he? Ruth, speak to me. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm just intrigued. This is so interesting. I feel like I always feel like I've been fire hosed when I get on your calls. You just talk so fast. There's so much information.
I know, and I'm always thinking I
Amazing.
missed something. There's a lot to cover.
Mhm.
Because I really do. I love modern medicine, and you come from that modern medicine training. There's so much precision, and I love that. Like, this is where we've both been able to thrive in modern medicine and Chinese medicine by the integration of both of them. I feel like I couldn't live without my Dutch testing and my modern medicine tools and strategies. Don't get me wrong, we still have our systems of diagnosis, but it's wonderful when we can put it together and make it better. Don't you
Yes,
agree, Ruth?
of course. Do
Yeah,
you, with that Dutch test, I'm not familiar with that until now.
right.
That's something that has to be ordered through practitioner. Somebody
Yes,
couldn't choose to order it
yes.
them.
You should do the training. Ruth, it would be a great adjunct for your work.
Where do I get that training?
Yeah, precision analytical. I can drop the information for you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's with your background. It's just great. I'm always learning from the Dutch.
So how would a patient get that ordered?
Well,
They
you
go
become a provider for them for precision analytical and do the
if
training.
if I got the training, I could be a provider for it.
That's right. Yeah.
Ooh.
And you just order the test kits, and then you teach people how to analyze it, and then you can prescribe based on the outcomes. So supplement recommendations. So you'll see that sometimes. Okay, for example, if there's the organic oats test, this is if there's glutathione issues or if there's gut dysbiosis, then you can go, all right, well, we can add in some probiotics, or we could add in some liposomal glutathione or N-acetylcysteine, because that's a precursor to glutathione. So you start to add on to your toolkit.
Yes. That would really be more targeted. So that would be
It's
very
more
helpful.
targeted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send
Mhm.
you some information, Ruth.
Thank you.
You're
That'd be
welcome.
great.
You're so welcome.
Mhm.
Diane, do you have any questions? I love that you've joined us.
No questions here. It's all very helpful information, stuff I didn't know.
Yeah. There's a lot to periods. I think the reframe is that, we just get so stuck in what we think it might be. Oh, this means I'm perimenopausal. Oh, it's over for me. I'm not fertile, and the reality is, like, I have teenagers and young people that have these irregular periods. It's not just a peri thing. It's not just a 40 thing. It's a woman thing. I think that's the biggest takeaway, that we're beautifully flawed. We're not so perfect. And it's about looking at where are the fluctuations and why, and how do we improve on them. You'll always find that we're trying to find the perfect balance. It's never, I don't think we ever get to complete perfection. So you see why this is such a valuable topic, because everyone's going to have some irregularity. And then we go through a bit of a phase, like Darcy says, oh, I get this good, okay, then I get this nice regularity. And then it could be just a bit of a hump in the road. And yes, it might be methylation DHEA, but it could be, all right, I've just left my job, or my daughter's coming to stay, right? There's the stress, right? Just something as little as that, I think, is the big takeaway. Melissa, any questions for me?
Not necessarily. I mean, I definitely. So I've been regular, and then the last few months not regular. So my first thought immediately was, well, I guess I'm starting menopause. I'll just accept it.
And how do you feel now? Now that you've heard this, what do you feel?
Well, maybe that is not the case. And I mean, I've had some changes, and basically I stopped all supplements because I was taking a lot, and so I'm just trying to get all of that through food right now. My husband deployed. That could be a stressor, I suppose.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah,
There it is.
there's lots of stuff going on. And I did a stimulated, well, a stimulated IUI attempt, but they said that I overstimulated, and so they canceled it. So I couldn't even go through with that. So then I felt like I did something wrong, and
You never did anything wrong. Reframe that. Yeah.
Having all those meds, that's, it's a lot in your body, and so I think everything's just trying to reset.
Well, you know what? Castor oil is my favorite. It's, comes in a bottle, get some castor oil. And what you can do literally is, this is my mouse pad. Literally soak it. Like I usually get a big jar. Imagine that's a jar. Put it in the jar. Just soak it with castor oil and then put it on your belly, skin to skin. So it's skin to skin, right underneath, skin to skin. Cover it with, a beeswax wrap or a bit of cling wrap or a freezer bag, and then hot water bottle over your belly. All right. And we do this, in the follicular phase. So after you finish your period until ovulation, in the follicular phase. And it's just it's a nice reset. Such a beautiful reset on the womb. It's going to invigorate. Yeah, it's going to help detoxify the meds, but also help with the lining and the circulation to your womb, your ovaries, your reproductive space.
Okay, I have that, and I've used it before, so I'll pull it out and do it again.
Remember that one pack will last you about 25 to 30 times. So keep it in the jar, put it back in the refrigerator, and pull it out when you're ready to use it. You can do it 2 or 3. You can do it daily, 25 to 30 minutes, up to an hour. Queen of the Thrones have packs, and you can wear them overnight. You've probably heard the big, everyone's talking about the Queen of the Thrones. They're the ready-made packs, already made. All right, they're a bit more expensive, but you can DIY it yourself at home just with the castor oil. So one bottle of castor, this is going to last me 5 years.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, well, we're hopefully going to reset you and get your mind back on the game, get back in the game.
Yeah. When my husband gets home.
Go. Yeah. So I think now it's a nice bit of prep for you, a bit of prep.
Yeah.
It could even be, a bit of moxibustion. It could be some warming.
Yeah, I have the moxa sticks too.
Beautiful. So this could be some nourishment. Give yourself some nourishment. It could even be some Epsom salts in the bath. Magnesium. I find there's just something about magnesium. It's like a baptism. I feel like I've literally been baptized every time I have a magnesium Epsom salt bath. I get in the bath, I go in, I might be in a cranky state or a stressed out or a fatigued state. I go in the bath, 500 grams of Epsom salts in the bath, and I come out a different person. My husband goes, "Who are you? You look different."
I've been using, so I was taking the pills, which was more to help with regularity. But so then I switched, because I stopped all pills, like I said, and I switched to a magnesium cream, and instantly I was sleeping all the way through the night.
Unreal. There it is.
So then I got sunburnt, and so I haven't been sleeping as good, but
okay, well, there you go. Magnesium, you've just proven it works, right?
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, the magnesium cream, even the oil. Yeah, the ancient minerals. I'll often get my patients to spray it on the body, on the belly. It's so good before sleep. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Is there any other questions? Jerica, do you have a question? Priya?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's all pretty much the same things we've been working on and talking about.
Great.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So nice to have you on the call, my darling.
Thanks.
All right. I think I'm going to say goodbye and good evening, sweet good night. I will see you again this time next week. Remember, if you have any special fertility topics you would love yours truly to explore, always just DM me or, put a message in the groups and let me know, because I'll cover it and research it for you. All right. So see you next week. Mwah. Goodbye.